Sometimes the very best partnerships are formed out of necessity. If you've ever bought a new home or if you're thinking about a new house, you may know what I'm talking about. It can be a hassle going from here to there. How about a turnkey operation that's bound to take care of you? That's what Ethan and Tyler have done. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Let me introduce you one at a time. Tyler Jenkins. You're the loan officer side of this, right?
Correct.
And he is with North Point Bank. Welcome into the show.
Thank you.
And Ethan Adams, realtor and lender with Remax Properties, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
yes.
want to make sure I get all this right. Okay, this is an interesting story to me because usually if you buy a home, it's like, okay, I've got to find a good realtor. That's good. Okay, now I've got to go to the bank and apply, and you're hopping all over the place. So whose idea was this to, hey, man, let's make it easy for everyone? Whose idea was this?
That was my whole plan.
There you go, okay.
Let's do like a team. Let's make this as easy as possible. Let somebody come in, make it smooth, easy, and just a breeze when you're coming and just coming with us. Like Tyler's one of the best in the business at what he does, and I think I'm one of the best at what I do. So it's like, why not team up with the people who are the best in the business and just make this as easy as possible for everybody?
See, I like this. You see, to me, as someone who wants both services, if I've got a team that says, you know, we'll take care of you, this is going to make it much easier because time is of the essence, right? When you, yeah, and plus you want things to move quickly. I would think, talk about that a little bit if you don't mind, Tyler. Tell me about the fact that the process can be a lot smoother because you guys have worked together so much, right?
100%. And just very high-level communication, I think, is the big difference. We're both really serious about making sure that there's transparency across the board in what's going on. And then when he introduces them to me, I make sure we get all the necessary documentation on the front end. So we don't wait until they're under contract and trying to figure all that out. We get everything on the front end, make sure it's all good, there's no issues. I communicate the numbers across. Ethan knows what's going on when he's out shopping with them, so they are looking at the correct price points. Because at the end of the day, if you don't feel like you can afford that payment, then we're not really doing our job. Because at that point, now you're thinking of your house as a bad, like that's a bad experience. So we don't want people to be in that situation. So we try to kind of bring all of that into one-stop shop turnkey operation.
I like this. I like because all that expertise is available and you guys work well together. So let's take you one at a time as far as perspective here. So for you, Ethan, tell me, what's the housing market like right now? I know it's a real economic indicator. We can tell how things are going economically or with the economy as far as housing market. So what are you seeing?
I mean, here in Louisville, Kentucky, I feel like we do things a little bit differently here. Louisville's its own little space. But the demand is still really strong right now. I mean, some sellers are seeing what they want and then some, but as well, buyers are able to come in. They're getting a little bit more of a comfortable situation for themselves, able to negotiate sometimes. They're able to, you know, get what they want and be within what they need, but as well get that asset and gain pretty much their equity, because a lot of people, rents are sky high right now. I'm a landlord and I'll rent to anybody, but the best way to go to build that wealth and actually make some money, like why not buy a house? Rents are $2,000 nearly.
Yeah, and you're flushing that money.
Yeah, just throwing it away.
From your perspective, Tyler, okay, as a mortgage loan officer, so what are you seeing as far as interest rates? I know, obviously, if you had a if you had the, if you could look into the future, of course, then you'd be a multi-billionaire. But with that being said, what do you see, though? You know the trends. What are you seeing?
That's the joke I make every single time when people ask me. I said, well, no offense to you, but if I knew that information, we probably wouldn't be talking.
You're right.
But I think one of the things that's happening, like you saw that bank, Silicon Valley Bank, went down. So there's a lot of volatility just in the global financial markets. Swiss Bank, another one that's having issues. They're talking about how they're going to handle that. So you're seeing there's been a lot of fluctuation. Like there's not as much stability in the rates. They're obviously up compared, especially if you compare it to 2020, 21, when people were getting 3, 4, well 2 in some cases % rates. So my job right now is to help put a longer term plan together. So what I have to keep reminding people is we have our short-term financing, but this is not your permanent financing. So let's look at what can we do in the short term right now, even if it's a little bit uncomfortable, knowing that at some point these things should correct themselves and we'll have an opportunity to come back and revisit it and see if we can lower that payment with lower rates. Or if they have increased credit, which is something I help people put plans together too, even after they're done, is, hey, this is what we had to do because of the situation, but now you have time. So let's work on XYZ so that when you come back, we can get you a better rate, simply just, even if the rates necessarily aren't as low, but just because your credit's better.
Well, I like the language you're speaking, man. Lower rates, lower payment. This sounds good. Okay, I like the combination here. Ethan, let's talk a little bit about maybe obstacles that people may run into. You guys have done this, so you know. If someone's out there and they're thinking about, okay, I want to get out of this rental property, I want to buy a home. Talk about some of the possible obstacles and how the two of you can help.
Really, the obstacles that we're seeing is going to be finding what we want. Inventory is probably at one of the worst we've seen, and that's why. It's really tough to find what you're needing, but sometimes there's not the perfect house. I always tell people it's like 80-10-10. 80% you're going to love, 10% you're just not going to like, and 10% you can deal with. So if you can find that house that marks that 80%, like, you can wiggle on some of your wants and needs. And that's some of the obstacles that we've been seeing right now, is just the inventory is extremely rough. And then don't be afraid to really throw that offer at people. There are some options out there, but they are on the higher price point side, or just overpriced, what everybody tells me every day. Write that offer to where you think it's needed. Where are you comfortable at? Shoot that offer and see what happens.
There we go. Okay, so that's kind of a misconception that you're saying, hey, just do it, just throw it out there. Are there other misconceptions that you're seeing, Tyler, that maybe people thought it was one way, but because of what you can do, it's not exactly the way they may think it is?
100%. So I would say the biggest misconception is that you have to put 20% down on a purchase. That's just not true. In fact, there's actually conventional products where you can put 3% down. Again, people just are not privy to that information. Their thought is always, well, FHA is 3.5%, so that's the one I want to go with. But they have great credit. They don't need that. So, and not to say that FHA is a bad deal. It just depends on what the situation is. And in fact, FHA actually just lowered their mortgage insurance premium cost, which is huge for first-time homeowners and people that, not only first-time homeowners, so people that don't have like 760 credit scores, but they have solid credit. Their payments are actually ended up being lower with FHA, whereas that wasn't usually the case before. So what we do, and the other thing that I've started to kind of educate people on, is either buying down the rate if it makes sense, but that doesn't always make sense. Then we also have temporary buy downs, which is a different product, but it will help in the short term. So the way that works basically is your payment the first year, second year, and third year. First year would be 2% lower than what the current rate is. Second year it's 1% lower, and then the third year it goes back to that payment. But the reason why that could make sense is we might have an opportunity in that window to refi. So you got the benefit in the short term of a better payment, and then rates came down, we lowered that payment for good. Now you're in your long-term financing, and you guys can hang out and
cool.
Just live your life.
I like it. A lot of information here. So I do like the combination. So real quickly, okay, we'll go off script here. Okay, if you could name one attribute, one trait that you admire about the other. Obviously, you guys could work with anyone you want. You're both very knowledgeable, but you chose each other. Okay, why? Okay, I'll go to you first, Ethan. Why Tyler? Give me one attribute. Passion.
The passion. I mean, he cares about the client just as much as I do, and that's like a big thing that I feel like we get missed in the industry. Is like, I'm a big caring person, as well as Tyler, and being able to know what's exactly best for our client, I feel like is what we stand out.
There you go. I like it. Tyler, how about you? What do you like about him?
I like that he's courageous. He's not afraid. I think especially right now with things being more challenging, more difficult, people are freaking out. Our job is to be calm, cool, and collected. And I think we both do that really well, but I appreciate it more on the agent side because it makes it easier for me to keep them calm.
Oh, I love it. Okay, give your clients peace of mind. Okay, so that number on the screen, is that the one they call if they want to meet with you guys thinking about a new home or a first house? Is that the number to call?
Yeah, call Tyler. That's a place to start. Yeah, Tyler's number's up there, but that's really the first place to start. Get with the lender, get the pre-approval started, and then come sit down with me and we can break it all down.
Man, I like the synergy, man. You guys are good together. All right? Again, make it easy on yourself, peace of mind, and get the very best deal possible with this duo right here. All right, we're going to take a little break here, and then coming up, you want your kids' experience at the dentist to be positive. And we'll talk about how you can do that next on Wave Listen.